Hello, and my name is Brandon with the Writers Assistance Network. We're here at the Writers Guild of America with the Writers Guild Foundation and the Veterans Writing Project. Today we're going to be speaking with two participants, and I guess you all will be alumni of the writing project, right? And I have Edom and Drea here, and I would just love to hear more about the two of you. For starters, Edom, where are you from?
Oh man, so I was originally born in Ghana, in West Africa, and then lived in London. And when I came to America, I lived in New Jersey, outside of Philly. So quite the transition, huge transition.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
over there. You're
yeah.
international, man.
That was it. That was it.
Andrea, how about you?
I'm just here from California. I was born in San Diego and then raised in San Francisco.
Okay, that's awesome. And the reason why we're here, so what is your military affiliation?
So I served in the Marine Corps for 6 years as an aviation, and then I ended up coming to LA from San Francisco after I got out to pursue acting, and then I went to AFI to study producing, and as a producer you have to have really great scripts, and so that sent me here to the Writers Guild.
Awesome. Okay. The Marines. Okay, that's what's up. And you?
I graduated from the Naval Academy, and then following that, I became an officer in San Diego, did a few deployments, and through that process, I came back to my art. And so moved to LA, and a good buddy of mine told me about this program, and that's what brought me here.
Wow, you was a naval officer, went through the Naval Academy. That was definitely a big deal, I'm sure. That's awesome. So just tell me about your writing background then.
Yeah, so prior to really coming into the program, I'd written like maybe a feature myself. I spent a lot more time acting. And a buddy of mine who was a full-time writer said, hey, look into this program, Writers Guild Foundation. It can really hone your skills, tighten you up in some places, structure, character, story element. And it brought me here to really work on a pilot and to clean up the feature that I worked on before.
That's awesome. Andrea, and you?
I went to UCB and did their sketch writing program, and then when I was at AFI, I ended up doing a class on feature writing. So that was pretty much all of my writing background before I came to WGA.
Okay, that's awesome. So how did you already told me how you heard about the program, so how did you hear about it?
I have, in LA, there's a very small network of veterans, and so I've always heard everybody talking about it. I know pretty much at least 5 people from every single year that this program's gone on, but I just never thought that I was at the right place in my life or talented enough to write. And they definitely teach you all the tools and understanding of how to write a really great script.
Okay, that's awesome. So what has been your biggest takeaway from being in the program?
That you can make the most boring and basic day hilarious. The most simple task that you do can become hilarious if you just have the right skills and the right mindset to it.
Yeah, they graced us the opportunity to really explore story and to allow the failure to be part of the success. Because obviously in writing, it's rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and understanding that we're all in the process of rewriting and rewriting. So that was pretty cool to see.
Oh, that's awesome. So what do you enjoy most about writing?
Yeah, I love the fact that I get to create a world. You know, there's so much happening in our current state of reality where it's like, okay, how can I create something, whether it's giving someone else out there an opportunity to see something that's happening in a different perspective. And being an actor and seeing scripts and reading other plays, you see the world they create. And then I now question myself and say, well, what can I also bring? What perspective or what voice do I have to say? So that's where the writing bug really started knocking on my door. And that's what got me really pushing to start creating more stories.
I definitely agree with that. There's also this opportunity to heal a lot with writing, because so many times you go through these situations and you just bite your tongue, you don't say anything. And writing allows you to just go out there and attack that person and say everything that you wish that you were able to say, but in that moment you weren't able to say. And so you're able to finally just write it down and just let go of that moment and move on. There's just so much that writing can do for someone's soul, I believe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely.
So what was the fellowship like for you?
The fellowship was so much fun just because we all served in the military, but we all served at this deployment, in this branch, or at this rank. And so everybody's experience was so different. And getting to hear everybody's stories and some of the stuff that you do when you're bored, it's just, all of it is just really great stories to write that a lot of people haven't heard yet. And I'm excited for a lot of them to finally get told.
Yeah, it's cool to see people also grow through that process, and we all have stories, we all have voices of our experiences and the different layers of what it was like to serve, but the cathartic element of saying, hey, this is what happened with me and this is how I'm expressing it right now. Amazing to be a part of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can only imagine. And it sounds like just the fellowshipping alone was like an experience in itself. Just bringing all these different veterans from all the branches of the military together in a place where there was a common goal, just like in the military, everybody's working together, doing their thing, but in this creative space, you know what I mean? And you all are learning, you know, coming from all these different backgrounds, and you're really just like learning to create and like really hone this craft that we all love. So that's really amazing. I'm really glad that this existed for you, especially coming out of the military. You know, I can only imagine that since it's only been around for 10 years, imagine how beneficial this could have been for veterans like after those big major wars we had in the 60s and the 70s, or, you know, even before that. You know, it just, I can only imagine like how beneficial something like this could have been for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you prefer to focus on, features or television, or do you kind of just jump back and forth? Do you deal with both?
Yeah, in the program I wrote a pilot, so it was television, but I do enjoy looking at both worlds because there's something to be said in both spaces. At least right now, creatively, that's what's calling me.
I honestly always thought that I was a feature writer. All my scripts are all features, but going through this program, I realized that I'm actually writing pilots, 1-hour dramas, and so a lot of my scripts are being rewritten.
Right, yeah, and just in my experience with like the workshops that I do, yeah, it's the people that make it into my workshop, sometimes the scripts that we read, because we'll read hundreds of scripts, and sometimes it's like, well, this has an end. You know, with television, you get to work with these same characters every week, or every script that you write, you get to develop them over time. And there isn't necessarily always an end game. It doesn't have to be. You know, you've got shows, well, all the soap operas, and you have like something like Supernatural. Like, they could keep going if they wanted to, but they're like, you know what, 15 is enough. Like, let's just like walk away from this on a high note. And you have a lot of shows that are just like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're just gonna, you know, Law and Order, like they literally, as long as wacky stuff happens on the news and in the headlines, Law and Order is gonna have a home.
Yeah.
And that's most of these procedurals.
Yeah.
So I could totally understand how, you know, you develop these characters that can go on for a long period of time, and it's not a situation where it's a one and done. You know, and that's what I love about television.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the fact that I get to personally work with characters long term, you know, and I can watch them evolve in these different ways and interact with different people. And just like the world we live in, it's always changing.
Yeah.
So that's what I get the most out of working with television. That's what I get excited about. So what is your ideal writing environment?
My ideal, like what show, or
No,
just like
environment. So like, you know, for me, you know, everyone talks about having a writer's block, right? So you get into situations where you're just like, the family is gone, I've got some coffee, I've got my laptop, I got some music playing, you know, this is my go time. This is where I got my blinders on, this is about to be a productive day for writing. What type of environment is best for you to be creative?
the middle of the night, drunk.
No, I mean, look, There's people that have more extreme. Look, I've heard about writers' rooms that have way more extreme circumstances, and they have the most creative television show that I'm not even going to get into it because I heard it like maybe fifth hand as far as it being true. But I heard there's some very, very creative ways to get out there and be creative. You know what I mean? There's no specific way to do it. So I totally understand. Like, I've been there and I've done that. I've gotten a little tipsy and like, oh yeah, we about to just tear this up right now. Like, no, so I get it. So that's awesome. And how about for you?
Yeah, I'm a night owl. I find there's some kind of like I don't know if it's an inspiration or if it's some type of like energy that happens, but middle of the night, sometimes it's with drinks, sometimes it's just casually hanging out. But it gives me a different type of perspective, and I like that.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, trust me, I get it. Like, there's some times where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm in the right mindset. Like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's all I can really say. But so tell me, like, what genres do you like to write the most?
I've been gravitating a lot towards, at least for myself, from my history from coming from Africa, being in America, that perspective of like sometimes African, but also African-American perspective, but not just alone with that, it's also dealing with the military, it's dealing with a lot of people that have been disenfranchised through that process. So having friends that I see that are in groups that aren't normally paid attention to, their perspective is like highly interesting to me.
Right.
I'm like, what are you going through that nobody's wanted to talk about it yet? So I want to have their voice kind of brought into this same exact thing we've seen, but now from their perspective, and the story is just entirely different. So that's what's really been calling me.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I have a dark sense of humor, so
Okay.
I tend to like a lot of dramedies.
Okay.
I really enjoy when people are able to take like a not so glamorous situation and make it funny. I guess that's the military in me where we can like laugh about, oh, so-and-so got blown up. But it's not really funny, but like the humor that comes with trying to survive and trying to heal from a horrible situation.
Right. So with you both seeming to have like more interest in television, what would be your ideal show to work on if you just literally had like the opportunity just to, you know, like, look, I don't even have to ask for permission. Like, this is where I'm working.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but that, I mean, it's just an incredible show and it's funny and they hit a lot of like deep topics. After that, it would have to be Handmaid's Tale.
Okay.
Just because I would have some stuff to say.
All right.
So yeah.
That's what's up. And
Yeah.
how about you?
This Is Us.
This Is Us. Okay.
Yeah. The way they tell story and the power of the way they're telling story, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, for right now, as of right now, like Watchmen, I would love to write an episode of Watchmen.
She's so good.
Yeah, and yeah, she's dope. Like, I mean, I hadn't really paid as much of attention to her, but now I'm like, she's really been killing it. You know, Regina, she's been working. And I think after that, I think American Gods would be my second choice.
It's good.
That right there, I think I like the sci-fi element to both shows, you know what I mean? And just, you know, it has a little darkness to it, but still it's just like, it's a form of reality, you know what I mean? That I would love to just manipulate.
Yeah.
You know, that's where my mind is with that.
Can I add one more?
Yeah, absolutely, you know, please.
Yeah. Insecure.
Insecure, you know,
Yeah, it's so rich. It's just, they tell a story in such an interesting way.
Absolutely.
Beautiful way.
Yeah, I had in my workshop actually, I think like a month ago, we had one of the executive producers come to my workshop, and she sat in on one of the table reads.
I love hearing when people say she.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
about it. Whenever
Yeah.
someone says she's, I'm like, what? So I get very excited every time.
No, absolutely, yes.
yeah.
No, she is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So what motivates you to write?
Well, we're both actors, and I'm only speaking for myself as a female, but it's hard for me to get cast and stuff because I am not Hispanic enough, and then I'm not Filipino enough. I get told that all the time, and then when I do finally audition for military stuff, I'm not military enough. So I get told that I'm not enough a lot. So I started, that's why I went and learned how to produce so I could make my own content. But then as I was given scripts and I was reading scripts, I still didn't see myself in any of those projects. So I decided to start writing my own stuff.
That's the way to do it. You got to. That's the only way nowadays. You know, if you're not getting opportunities, you have to create them yourself. And with the way, you know, social media and just being able to put out stuff yourself, you know, you could spend a $1,000 or $2,000 on a really good camera, some audio equipment.
Even an iPhone?
Yeah.
Even an
iPhones
iPhone, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Some people are really getting very creative with the iPhones.
And those lenses that attach to
Absolutely,
your iPhone?
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
What
You know,
like
you
fish
just
lens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can do so much. You can do so much. So yeah, nowadays it's a lot easier than it was before for people to create their own content. You know, you get a couple lights. If I've seen people even like create their own lights. You know, it's just there's so many different opportunities. If you're creative enough, you can make anything happen.
Yeah.
You know, and the only other thing is that probably the one thing you probably can't really shortchange on is the audio.
Yes.
Can't do that. That's cool. That's cool. So, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, being the actor perspective of there are roles that you go read for, roles you go do, and it's like, okay, sometimes you're not enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. And then also the avenue of wanting to share my viewpoint. And then the people that I know, I want to see them create stuff. And in that collaboration of, oh, I want to see you do something. Maybe I can write something for them. I like the concept of giving people opportunities. And through the worlds we create, we give them that chance.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy that this program exists and that you all are able to, you know, take advantage of these, you know, these opportunities. I just want to know, like, one of the last things I want to hear is just like, what do you feel that you gained from this fellowship?
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah,
good
I mean, you
question,
know, because
yeah.
I mean, you guys went through the process and it's an ongoing process. So what do you think, or what do you feel like you gained from going through it and like you're still utilizing today?
I would say it's this idea of giving, and the idea of giving from the mentors to us and also from us into our stories. It's always a cycle of what am I giving? Whether I'm in the process of writing, whether it's the idea coming to me, whether it's I'm like running somewhere and all of a sudden here comes concept, write it down really quick. I'm always giving something to story, and people have been giving stuff to us this entire time. So it's amazing to have that.
I agree. I think also it gives us a direction because it's so easy as a writer to just get stuck in yourself and your home and your writing room and just not really associate anymore with the outside world. And after this program, there's also another program that continues on from here. Some of the mentors started the USVAA program, and they actually keep writing every single month, and then every year on Veterans Day, they actually created a holiday in LA based off of the program, and they present the works that all the veterans have been writing all year long, and they showcase them to the industry, and it's like, it gives you like a plan of attack, as opposed to just like running around with your head cut off. You have like an actual direction of, okay, if I do this, then I can do this, and then you have a goal that you met, and then you have another goal that they give you, and then another goal, so you can just keep going as opposed to just giving up when it's all over.
Right. Well, this is amazing. I'm glad that you all had this opportunity, and I hope that this program continues to flourish. You know, I hope that plenty of people see this and that they, you know, gain some interest. And I hope that some of these writers and people with some deep pockets, you know, they can come through and support this program because it's important. You know, one of the things that really struck me about this program is just the fact that in a lot of things we see and hear about our military, you know, it's not always in the best light. And it's usually related to the mental health of our military. And it's, you know, what is the condition when they come home? What do they have access to? And how are they able to decompress? So just thinking about someone just coming home fresh and they're no longer in the military and they're trying to find out what's next. What are they going to do? And something like this, it gives them really something constructive to do. You know what I mean? So all those stories that they might have, you know what I mean? Maybe you can't tell them all, but you know what I mean? It's just like you can kind of go around it a little bit and you still can be creative and express yourself.
Yeah.
And I learned myself, like, you know, when I was in my mid-20s, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't interested in entertainment or screenwriting. You know, just one day I just released. I started writing the worst poetry possible. But I started writing, and I was 24. I had never written anything ever. And that was all she wrote. And then next thing you know, I wrote my first feature script, which was terrible. But it was just the fact that I completed something and I didn't even know really what I was doing. And that got me I went back to school, got into undergrad at Howard University. Script writing was what I was most fond of. And then I came out here to LA, and they had just started to LMU, they just started a program for writing and producing for television. And the dean had specifically been looking for minority students at the black colleges and universities. And one of my professors, she was just like, whatever about all those other schools, like, you need to go to LMU. And, you know, I'm just like, whatever. Then I applied to LMU. I didn't really have much say in it, and I'm happy that I listened to my, you know, people that have come before me, because it was the best decision I could have made. So I appreciate that you all have this opportunity, because opportunities were presented to me. And I wouldn't even be able to be here to do this interview had a chain reaction of events and things happened. You know, like, I wouldn't even have the Writers Assistance Network if it wasn't for one of my mentors that I got through Loyola Marymount University. And I also saw that he actually is one of the people that participates in this, Craig Sweeney. He doesn't, like, he didn't have any direct influence, but he gave me the job that I got on Elementary. And through Elementary is when I hosted my first event. And it all just like spread. It spread. So a chain reaction. So if I had never gone to LMU, I would have never met Craig Sweeney. I would have never got the job at Elementary. I would have never thrown that first party, and I would have not be in this situation. And had I not been told by my professor that I was going to LMU, you know what I mean? So I just appreciate that you all took this route, and I wish nothing but the best in your careers. And I hope to see you all working in the industry. I hope we all are working and stay working in this industry, because things are changing, hoping that they continue to change for the better. And that's all we can hope for.
Thank you, man.
So, no, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. We really appreciate you. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see what we got for you next. Hopefully it will be just as good as this one. Thank you. The submission period for the Veterans Writing Project is currently open and will stay open through February 24th. The Veterans Writing Project functions in large part due to community donations. If anyone wants to donate, they can do so using the link below.